The world is changing at breathtaking speeds, with trends and fads popping up and passing away at breakneck pace. Against that backdrop of nearly constant upheaval, we welcome you to the Sunday Scotch Society. Over delectable, sumptuous scotches and with the occasional good cigar in hand, we have open, honest, and uninhibited conversation about whatever strikes our fancy. Whether it's the critical issue of the day or a deep dive down the rabbit hole, we take it all seriously while having a good time. Join us for a stiff drink and a great conversation. So, good afternoon, good morning, and in case I don't see you, good evening and good night. I believe that's how Truman said it. I'm not sure.
Close enough.
Close enough to start, yeah. Welcome to the Sunday Scotch Society. I am that occasionally useful invention called a co-host, Quincy Parker. I am joined on my right hand by a man. Does that mean he is my right hand man? I do not know. But he is there nonetheless. And as Adam Felber is wont to acknowledge on the Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone podcast, Matthew is here, present for every show. That's because he's also my partner in crime. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Matthew Kelly.
Good evening.
Today we are over the moon because we have a guest who has joined us with I think she has a resume that is very long and varied, but she's one of these people who you will know her when you hear her voice. You probably know her when you hear her name. She's almost ubiquitous in a certain field, and I'm excited to talk to her about that and also about choices. Sometimes we make choices that are, I guess they're reasonable at the time that we make them, and then the next thing you know, you look up and it's been 20 years. And, you got to live with the choice you made, So I look forward to getting into a little bit of that conversation with our guest, the wonderful, the beautiful, the talented, the fantastic Simone Bowe. Simone, welcome to the Sunday Scotch Society.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm honored to be in both of your companies.
Yes, well, both of us are excited that you're here.
I blush.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I promise we're going to get the show video soon, because I want you to see Matthew blushing. It's quite something.
You are such a tease.
Yes, I am.
One day.
Today, our tipple, our regular dipsomaniacs will know that, we've strayed away from the Scotch on one occasion to have a gorgeous Panamanian rum, and on another occasion to have a delicious bourbon, a rye bourbon. That was the Widow Jane bourbon.
In my book, still a whiskey.
Well, I mean, it is a whiskey because it's a whiskey from America, which is what bourbon is. But for the pedants among us, and we have pedants among our listeners, you know that. I wanted to make the distinction. But today we are way, way, way off the beaten track in terms of Scotch. We are drinking today one of my favorite wines. It is the three-finger jack cab, and it has. We opened the bottle to let it sit and breathe, and the room smells like a winery in Tuscany in the late 1500s. I smell the grapes, I smell the wood, I smell some other fruit, I smell maybe some drying cheese in a cave around the corner. I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. So I want to turn first to you, Simone, to ask what you think about the bouquet of this wonderful wine.
I'm clearly not as well versed as you all, but the fragrance really is rich, is what I would say. It's rich. It's I don't know how to describe it. It has body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has body. I don't know. It's a wonderful fragrance of fruit, but also of depth. So even though I'm not much of a, I would say, grown-up wine drinker, because what I asked you for was Moscato, which is like, adult Kool-Aid.
I hesitated to tell you that I couldn't ask Matthew to drink white Moscato. I'm sorry.
But I appreciate this because it actually, when I'm starting to describe this, I feel like I'm describing myself.
Body and depth.
Yes.
And I was literally going to say, you could be talking about yourself. Yeah.
Yes. There's more to me than what people know oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this wine gets me. So
excellent.
Thank you for this choice.
Excellent. Well, it's Matthew's choice.
Oh, Matthew's
so
choice.
I will.
Thanks for not getting the Moscato. Encouraging me to go deeper.
No, you didn't know the Moscato was
you didn't know it was Moscato. So that's your fault.
That's my fault.
If you didn't want Moscato,
it's better this way.
It is better this way. I agree. All right. So Matthew, do you have any thoughts about the bouquet other than that it's awesome?
It really is.
It's bold. That really is rich, and I cannot wait to get that on the palate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's no reason to wait. So,
all right. Cheers.
Yes.
Where's the cheese? The cheese in the cave. We need the cheese. The charcuterie board. Oh my goodness.
All right, so we've lost Matthew.
Yes.
We've lost Matthew for a little while. You just let him, do his thing. That's fine. But
exploding in
when I found this wine, which is just such a steal for what you get, in my opinion. I don't know. It hits the notes that stick around from the nostalgia of good nights out with that perfect red wine from the early days when I sort of just started exploring. And so, you did lose me. Because
it's very clear.
I was lost.
It was off spinning.
Laid back in the chair, spinning around. It was beautiful.
It's true.
But
that is.
But the reaction was not out of proportion.
No, it's beautiful.
See, the thing about cabs, right, is that they have a tendency, especially American cabs, they have a tendency to have a lot of tannin. So that real oaky, it makes your mouth feel like it has something tart. It's the thing that most people hate about red wine.
Drying it up.
Yeah. And this has body without being overly tannin.
Right. There's some nice structure there, but it doesn't cut through the other flavors experience. I don't know. It's so nice. It's on the border of what I call chewy. Just a delight. The finish sticks around for me, and I just
Yeah. So 3-Finger Jack Cabernet Sauvignon. Go find you a bottle. It's a beautiful vibe. So speaking of something with depth, something bold and with body, there's a career as an HR professional, human resources professional, that is how I think most people in a professional world will know you from years ago. But recently you have sort of embarked upon a more leadership and personal development focused sort of public persona. Was it Horizons Development?
Oh my goodness, you have been in my life for a very long time. I've had so many iterations of what I'm doing. So yeah, Horizons Development Group would have been, I think, my 90s,
Yep,
2000s-ish.
Very late 90s type vibe. I was like, so from then I knew that was an area that you were focused on and pursuing. And so I wanted to put it out there for later on in our conversation when we talk about foundation, right? When we talk about roots. But how would you describe what you do right now as a I don't even know if you use the word coach.
I don't.
Okay, good. So
I mean, it shows up, in my bio and things like that. It's not something that I've branded myself as now. A few years ago, yes, I was the Limitless Life Coach. But as you've seen, I've transitioned into leadership development and consulting. So that has shifted that whole thing. So I've moved away from that coaching and the one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, coaching. Okay, coaching is. I'm gonna get feedback on this.
Let me get my gloves out.
I can't wait for him to drop this bomb. I'm just waiting.
It's not a bomb, not at all. It is that okay. So we have a country full of. Okay, let's talk numbers, right? The population is maybe 450, close to 500,000, if you include all the people who are not counted in censuses and so on and so forth, right? We're up to like almost 370, a little over 370,000 in the official census. So you add 50 to 60,000 on that, we're up there close to 500,000. 270,000 people in the workforce. I am almost certain that if we do a search and we do some math in terms of the number of coaches per capita for people in the workforce, we would have a relatively high number of people calling themselves coaches who are doing a thing that they call coaching. And they may well be coaching. I don't, there's no judgment on the activities that they are carrying out. It is, I have a question though about how many of these people are really What are they doing? What are they doing? I mean,
They're coaching.
Coaching what? Coaching what? And how? What are they coaching and how are they coaching it?
Do you know that you can have a coach in so many areas of life?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I mean, you were looking at coaches here in the Bahamas. If you were to look at coaches in the U.S. and the types of things that people coach for, you can be, and this is what they teach you. They teach you to really, for your coaching business, to really niche down.
Yes.
Right? So I could be, for instance, a coach to professional women in their 50s who want to date. And I can coach you.
Mm-hmm. Still fairly broad for the population of the U.S.
Right? And you can still niche that down even more.
You could add monikers like Black,
right?
Christian,
exactly.
single mother, or whatever.
Exactly. You got it.
Yes. Listen, it isn't that I don't get it. It's that I wonder if there's any value in it. And let me put it to you this way. There must be some that have real value.
Absolutely.
Because I know myself, I have done things that amount to coaching across my professional life.
I'm sure you
have. In terms of
I'm sure.
media engagement, in terms of civic and community engagement, in terms of press relations, in terms of even as a someone navigating lots of consulting things, so I'll just leave that alone. But it's like I see that, and I see the value in that because that's something that I've done. But even then, I didn't call myself a coach, right? And I think that it's oh dear, Matthew. I hope those gloves are ready. It's almost like becoming an apostle, right? You could rent a building in a strip mall on Robinson Road and hang out a shingle, and you are now apostle whoever of the First Church of the whatever, and I guarantee you, people can come to your church.
I was going to say, you would have a following.
Because you feel either it's the call of God or indigestion. But you feel something. You feel something.
I cannot take it.
Right? So you hang out your shingle and you start telling people how to live their life according to your interpretation of somebody else's interpretation of the Bible. And just like it's so easy to become an apostle, it's so easy to become a coach. And to me, it's the same kind of risk profile, because vulnerable people are coming to you as a coach or as an apostle or as a whatever, right? But today we're talking about coaching. We can get to the religion conversation, Matthew. But vulnerable people are coming to you with their hearts and minds open. And they're saying to you, show me how to do this thing that I have a passion to do. This thing that is something that I need. I need this. Not only do I need this to make me feel better, I need this to make money to look after my family. I need this to put myself in a different position to get out of a horrible situation. I need this to move ahead.
Yes.
And so they coming to you for something real. And I wonder how much of the coaching community is firstly honest, and secondly capable of giving these people what they need.
Yeah.
And I know I told you I was going to get blows for this, but this is our conversation, so let's have it.
And you have, what is it? 3-finger jack.
Yes, 3-finger jack.
Yeah, but I think you raise an important point that shouldn't be ignored. I think coaching has a lot of value, but I do believe that who we choose to coach us is also important. And doing your due diligence in figuring out their qualifications. And there are tons of coaching certifications out there. I did a personal development coaching certification with an author and a coach called Valerie Burton. And
I know Valerie.
You know Valerie Burton.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you keep going, but I'm going to come back to that.
So she has a very robust program that focuses on positive psychology. And so this is, again, I was sharing earlier that coaching can take any avenue. You have people who coach in personal finances and investing, life after divorce, raising children, wellness. I mean, it's just
wellness
the gamut.
is another thing.
Wellness is a huge
deal. Don't get me started on wellness.
That's a huge deal. So
wellness,
but I did the certification. Not that I want to really do the one-on-one coaching thing. I like group coaching, but I think that the skill of coaching is very important and valuable, right? I think a lot of people probably don't understand what coaching actually is. And so when you were sharing about the avenues in your life where you would have helped people, some of it may have been coaching, some of it may not have been. So you have these different types of or methodologies of development that could be training, mentoring, coaching, or even counseling. And so sometimes we kind of weave in and out of those things because you can get in, and this is what they teach us not to do in coaching, is to give people advice. So as a coach, you're not supposed to give people advice. You would actually need to ask their permission. Would you like me to speak to your situation, right? Because that's really not your role. The role of a coach is an accountability partner. And it's really a person to act as a mirror to yourself, really to ask you questions of self-discovery. So what people may not know or understand about coaching is that it's client-driven, not coach-driven. I'm not here to tell you how to fix your life. You came to me because you think I can help you get to the goal. So for instance, I did a presentation in an organization. One of the managers reached out to me afterward and said, I've been trying to do this certification in my professional area for a while now, and I think I'm getting in my own way. And when I heard you speak, I figured you could help me. Can you coach me? So I coached him to get to the place of readiness to take the certification. So it wasn't about me telling them, well, you need to study, this is how you need to study, this is how you need to approach this. It wasn't that. We would sit in sessions, I would ask him certain questions like, what's holding you back? Or why do you feel you need this right now? Why now, right? Like certain questions to get him to reflect. And people have their own answers. It's just sometimes they need clarity, sometimes they need confidence, sometimes they just need that validation that, okay, I'm on the right track. Let me run on. Let
me complicate your life just a little bit. People pay for this service. We don't have in the Bahamas a thing called a Better Business Bureau.
No.
And our consumer protection agency, the less said, the better. What avenue exists if you go to somebody for a coaching engagement, and at the end of the day, you get nothing out of it. I mean, you feel it,
Yeah.
but you've paid $5,000, and you are no further ahead over the 3 or 4 months that you took this.
And I've
this
experienced
journey,
that because
right?
I've engaged people for coaching, and they promise you a lot, but you realize that it's more about the money than it is about the service. And so, again, doing your due diligence on how you select, looking at their track record, asking where they got their certification, who are some other clients, looking at testimonials and all of those things.
So you've mentioned certification now a bunch, a couple of times, 3, 4 times. Are you saying that we shouldn't be going to coaches who are not certified?
I don't think you should. Because coaching is a process and it's a skill. It's not about someone, like I mentioned, just giving you their advice, or, they've come across or through a personal experience and now I feel like I want to help people. That's great, but you also need to equip yourself to help people. Right? When I get on a platform or I'm training and so forth, I've been trained to do that. And it's not to say that you can't do something and not be trained, but training refines your skill. It adds to your knowledge base. It gives you different strategies and techniques and tools. It just makes you better. So it's not to say that you can't do it, but I think that when someone is trained and certified, that it makes them better at it.
Why? Okay, I'm going to leave coaching alone for a little while.
Why? I love that topic.
Because we don't have 7 hours.
Oh.
Matthew is a 3-hour conversation guy, but I promised you an hour to an hour and a half. So we're moving on. We'll probably end up coming back to coaching because I still have questions, especially about bona fides, right? Because certification is one thing, but there are degree mills.
True.
Right? I'm
Very
sure
true.
there are certification mills.
Absolutely.
You pay $250, you get your certification without any kind of whatever, right?
Totally.
Right.
But
So,
real certification programs will have a practicum side to it. You have to. Like in Valerie's program, we were divided into little coaching pods, groups of 3, and we had to meet every week and rotate. Someone was the coach, someone was the client, someone was the observer to give feedback, and that would always rotate. So you would always be in one of those roles. So you got the practice. So you have to submit coaching hours. So yeah, that legitimizes some of the certifications.
but before I move on to leadership, which is where I'm going next, because that's another.
Oh,
Anyway, I wanted to.
sweet spot.
I wanted to let Matthew.
Yes, Matthew sips the wine.
He's not sipping his tea.
He
He's
just threw
sipping
that
wine.
back.
Is there something that on this subject or this area that you want to get into before we charge ahead?
No, I'm happy to move on to leadership.
Yeah. Because this whole leadership thing, it must be a joke, right?
What you talking about, Willis?
All of a sudden, we live in a country where everybody and their cat is telling everybody else and their dog about what an awesome leader they are.
Really?
Yeah. They trying to tell you you could be a leader. It's in you. You have leadership potential.
That may be true.
Horse nanny. Right? The fact is we've adopted as a community. I say fact, and I recognize that I'm speaking my opinion. So for intellectual honesty and transparency, this is not a fact. That's just an idiom, people. Okay? The fact is that we as a culture seem to have adopted this love of the language of leadership, right? All over LinkedIn, I see people talking about their leadership journey and this, that, and the next. And you, Simone Bowe,
guilty as charged.
You worse than guilty because you facilitate this quote unquote leadership journey.
Yes.
What the heck? What
Our nation.
What is a leadership journey? What are you trying to convince the people that you engage in that conversation? What is it that you are trying to show or teach or tell them? And it's a sincere question. I may have started off with a little bit of sarcasm, but
a little.
Is my eye black? My eye feels a little black right now.
Tiny bit of hyperbole.
Yeah.
So I will start my response by sharing a quote of my own.
Okay.
That says, "Where there are great leaders, there is evolution and revolution." So the leadership journey is how you evolve, how you change as you age as a leader.
I just want you to know you triggered Matthew just now.
Really?
Yes.
Did I? I'm thinking that Quincy is now a 3-hour conversation person.
No. You triggered Matthew because he and I have had a long-running conversation about the difference between evolution and revolution.
Really?
Yes.
Look at that.
We're not going to get into that here because that is a tangent. That is a 4-hour tangent. We are not going down that tangent. But when we do have the revolution versus evolution conversation here, you are invited to be a part of it.
Thank you.
That quote is fine, but what does it mean in the context of the community that we live in? And the people who are either trying to be leaders or sitting in a situation where they're thinking, I should be leading, but they're not for whatever reason.
For me, it means that leaders as an individual should always be open to change personally. You should be a leader that has high emotional intelligence, high self-awareness, self-reflection.
No, see,
yes,
you all this stuff is true, Simone. I'm not disputing what you're saying, but you are taking as given something that I don't agree with, and that is that everyone is a leader. I don't agree with that.
I think, you know what? It depends on how you define leader.
Here's how I define leader.
Okay.
Start walking and look behind you. If anybody behind you, you're a leader.
Exactly.
If ain't nobody behind you, you're not a leader.
Exactly. So anybody can have people walking behind them.
So
you have lots of informal leaders in organizations.
To take that from back to front, if you have followers, you're a leader.
Yes.
Okay. So how many people on social media don't have followers?
Social media is not life. Social media is not life, okay? Social media is the 8th circle of hell. Okay?
Even hell has leaders and followers.
I agree with that. But there is a difference though. Because not every follower is a leader. Yeah, Miles Monroe said something that I thought was profound. He said every leader has to know how to follow.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
However, he did not say...
that's part of the journey.
He did not say that every follower has to know how to lead.
But he did say that their mantra was transforming followers into leaders.
Yeah, but not every follower got transformed into a leader.
No, but you can lead. See, again, you can't have a fixed view of
Yes, you
leadership.
can. You absolutely can.
Because I don't have to have a title that says Simone Elbow, whatever, vice president or whatever. I can be a team leader. I can be a project leader. That project can be disbanded in 6 weeks. And then I go back to being regular old Simone Elbow, but I still have the leadership capacity in me. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody desires leadership, to be in the forefront, to lead people, to drive projects, processes. Not everybody has that desire. Not everybody is as skilled at it as others.
Okay, so you said some very important things, and I want to jump in.
Good.
So keep Quincy on the leash for just 30 seconds here.
Have some wine.
I think I will.
Not everyone desires to be a leader.
No.
Leadership is a skill. You mentioned some things that leaders have to have, and I heard it as should have, right? If I go to, let's just take the popular Silicon Valley examples, so these tech giants. Let's go to Steve Jobs. Here's a guy who may have emotional intelligence, but does not give a shit about how you feel. Is he a good leader?
It depends.
Okay.
Someone may say yes because they look at his financial success, his business prowess, and they may say he's a great leader.
Right.
Someone who's looking for something else from their leader would say he's a horrible leader.
Yes. So we can agree that leaders have more dimensions to them and filters that we can view them through. Okay. So effectiveness, what you are looking for as a follower, etc.
And that's also evolving.
In your view, are the people who want to be leaders, because not everyone does want to be, more, let's see. Okay. So I break down the word talent into your potential and what your actual skill level is right now. Right? So I can never be in the NBA, but if Jordan never practiced, his skill level would still be greater than mine, but it would be much, much lower than it is, etc. Okay, great.
Correct.
So I just like to be clear about this word talent when I'm dealing with it. I want to know that in your experience, are these people who want to be leaders, do they generally have more potential than the people who do not want to be leaders? And I'll tell you why in just a minute. And B, I want to know why, in your experience, do people want to be leaders? What is their motivation? Be it internal, external, the coming together of the two. What do these people want?
So that's a loaded question, right? And there are multiple layers to that question. So I believe that real leaders never seek leadership. Real leaders don't seek it. They just are. And they operate in spheres where they bring order and sense to chaos. They see things, right? They're visionary. They organize. They plan.
May I jump back in now, man?
They direct.
Let her finish.
Right?
They start walking.
They start
and then
walking.
people start
and then
following.
it's like, wow, I like the way this guy is walking. I like where he's going. She is going. Let me jump on this bandwagon, right? So that's my first part of the answer. So
Which means that I win.
You win, okay. So a lot of times I have seen people desire leadership without really knowing what it really is. A lot of people desire, as you talked about, the external trappings of leadership. So they look at people in their environment who seem to be so powerful and they're wielding their power and they're getting people scurrying around and all of this other stuff. They maybe drive nice cars and they get a nice office and they have a title and they have respect and status. And I think a lot of times that's what people are after.
So
but they're told to be after that, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Right?
I will say
to aspire to that.
two things here, right? One is, I have my own quote.
Oh, be here.
Which is that the first rule of leadership is to get rid of the need for the leader. That's the purpose. You come in to make it such that you're no longer needed. There's
Great
something to do.
Leaders lead from the back. Take that, Quincy. Great leaders lead from the back. So even though people, you're talking about who's out in front and who's following, there's also this other concept that as a leader, to Matthew's point, that the more I can develop people to be comfortable in their own skin and talent, to actualize their potential and get out there and do that thing. And I'm behind them cheering you on. I'm creating opportunities for you to do that. That's also leadership.
Right.
Right?
So given that many who seek leadership have particular tendencies, and I'm reminded of a quote from a great sci-fi novel by Frank Herbert, that the corruptible are drawn to power.
Oh, yes.
We could talk about corruption and incentives, etc., but suffice it to say that that is a truism that finds itself manifest in politics, right?
Yes.
Do you think, as someone involved in developing leadership, that the country, any country, may be better off with someone who didn't seek office in office?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because again, it goes back to your question of the why. What is your real intent? Some people go into it because, yes, I want to help humanity, I want to create change. And then they go in and then you see more of the same. So either it is that I'm entered a system that I just can't fight, it's bigger than me, and so I just assimilate so that I can get what I need from it. Or I've just given up on this thing. I've just given up on the fact that I can make a difference. Or maybe some people try to on a smaller scale than they went in expecting that they could. Mm-hmm. So I believe that leaders have to be prepared for leadership. I think a lot of the challenges that we see with not just corrupt leaders, but corrupted, when we think about it from a technology point, right? If that drive is corrupted, what's wrong with it? Mm-hmm. What's wrong with it? If a drive or something technical, and that's not my word. What does it mean when it's corrupted?
You ask it. Sorry, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole, but it's just that it's not whole. It's not the way it should be, without me getting drawn into the various ways that this could happen.
That's exactly.
I mean, that was dangerous just now. Matt is an IT guru. So
I know. That's why I asked
that kind of question is.
What does it mean when something is corrupted?
You can't ask me.
You can't ask him that.
Those sorts of
there's only 30 minutes left in the conversation.
But the fact of the matter is, we have a lot of broken people in leadership. Mm-hmm.
I love this word from the 60s, bent.
Yeah.
Carl Jung, psychologist, therapist, researcher, a brilliant man. This is my quote, since I don't have a Quincy quote that I want to share in this context. Says, the moment one forms an idea of a thing and successfully catches one of its aspects, one invariably succumbs to the illusion of having caught the whole.
Hey.
And when we're talking about leadership, and you give this wonderful list of characteristics or qualities of leadership, not of the leader, but of leadership itself. I think that the reason that I look for that quote is because we equate one with all.
Yes.
Right? And leadership, I don't want to step into your territory and start talking about leadership.
Why not?
Like I know anything about it. But
you are a leader.
But leadership it's a complex. Right? It's not a monolith. Even if you take your example, and you could lead a project, you could lead a program, or you could be the war leader in the country. You could be the lead doctor. You could be whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But even within all of that specialization, and even with that narrowing of focus, leadership itself is still a complex process.
It is.
It's not just one thing. And what I see in the LinkedIn universe and in the Bahamian leadership conversation is people so laser focused on one aspect, and they seem to have decided that I'm going to build my castle on this rock, and people are going to come to me for this. Because I do this better than anybody else. And that's like an ant building a wall in an ant's nest.
Right.
And they build that wall, and they believe that having built the wall, that they've built the whole ant's nest. And they wonder, well, why are no ants living in the nest? Well, you haven't built a nest, you built a wall. So,
is this a critique or a business lesson for coaches who are not getting clients, or some rant which is combining a bunch of different things together?
It's probably a rant.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not smart enough to critique people who are doing business, because they are already doing business and making money, so they got me beat. Right? So but I can rant about it for sure. Simone, all of this is all well and good, and you clearly are incredibly qualified. You're very thoughtful. You studied and trained very deeply. But all of this is a distraction.
He's going there.
Because you and I both know that you're a singer.
Yes, Quincy. Quincy.
So you have to explain to me and the country and the universe at large, everybody who listens to the Sunday Scotch Society, you have to explain to us how it is that you have the temerity, the gumption, the unmitigated gall to have a voice like your voice and talent like your talent and build a whole other career.
Slurping.
I believe that is sips tea.
Sips tea.
Yeah. Except it's 3 finger jack.
Wide. Exactly. Oh Lord, how do I answer this question? It's very complex. Into my heart question.
Let me rephrase it in a way that I think may ratchet down the personal attack nature of it, because it's not a personal attack.
I know.
But we are constantly, as artists, and all of us in here are artists, constantly forced by circumstances, and Matthew has ideas about what those circumstances might be, to make a choice between following our vocation, following our gift to its ultimate conclusion, whatever it may be, and making money, building a life with like a house and a car and groceries and stuff, right?
Yes.
So, how have you navigated the choice, or having to make the choice of a profession and a career over your musical gift?
Well, as a friend of mine says, he has some addictions that he has to feed, and it keeps him going to work every day, like eating and internet and air conditioning and a car.
Air conditioning is very important.
What? That is key.
Yes.
So I think we get into survival mode, and being an artist in our country is not the easiest thing to do. To make it a viable, earning profession. And some who have done it, I've had the honor of having many great music mentors in this country, like Lee Callender, Adrian D. Aguilar. I would always hear Adrian say that sometimes he feels that he's prostituted his gift here in the Bahamas.
And he has.
Because
that brother is an amazing player. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, because what ends up happening is, his deep passion is jazz. I mean, anyone who knows him knows that it's jazz. But you are living in a society that doesn't have an appreciation for jazz in its truest form. So you end up corrupting it, blending it, maybe I call it infusing it, right, with things that people want to hear.
Yeah.
So you can do a couple jazz standards, but you got to throw in some Anita Baker, some Shadi, because people think that's jazz, but it's not. But it sounds good. So you throw in what people like to hear, and you end up down this path of least resistance. Because I want to get another gig. I want to eat. I got kids. I gotta live.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I find the ones who make it, to me, they're unicorns, right? People like Adrian, Neil Simonet, Lee Callender, even, these guys who are able to. Neil as a percussionist.
Oh, he's amazing. Amazing.
Neil.
He's another one.
Neil, anyway. Do you know who Leo Kofke is?
I know nothing.
The people who are world-class musicians who have played on the world stage in the Bahamas, who are Bahamians, who've been out around the world on tour as musicians, will completely blow people's minds. And to think that when they come home, people who have no concept of the level of their gift and the level of respect they have. Cleophas Adderley passed away. This week, the National Youth Choir, so this is the week of the 3rd through the 7th or whatever of October, right? And this week the National Youth Choir is celebrating 40 years. This is the 40th anniversary of the choir. And I'm thinking to myself, right, a man like Cleophas, if he lived elsewhere in the world, would have been a knight and would have been someone, he would have been wealthy beyond imagining.
Yes.
because the level of his talent and the commitment of his gift to the country, that man gave hundreds of children the gift of music.
Mm-hmm.
He transformed voices.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I grew up with Candace Boswick, for instance, who was one of the first premier lead sopranos in the choir. We went to high school together, not just high school from kindergarten straight to graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And the voice that came out of her since being in the choir was not the voice that I remember. She could always sing.
Yeah.
She had a beautiful voice. But when she got into the choir, it was like, who is that?
Mm-hmm. Cleophas is...
It was amazing.
Cleophas, the work, anyway. So, my point is, people like him as artists have to live in this country where the artist is not... It's not that the artist is not respected. It's that the artist is not even acknowledged.
No.
You have to be acknowledged to get respect, right? Neil lives in a wonderful little house that's full of percussion instruments from around the world. He can play every single one of them,
Yes.
right?
Each has a story.
And he has 2 studios in his place in Stapleton. And the number of people who have gone through there, I started going through there when I was 13.
Wow.
Neil is the one who turned me on to jazz, which led me to classical music, which led me to my degree in music, right? Between Neil and Cleophas, they are why I'm the musician that I am.
Wow.
Right?
I never knew that.
And I learned how to produce and engineer in a recording studio from Neil.
Wow.
That was my job in college. That got me work after college, right? And it's like, you can't, all of which is to say, we have created a society where, as artists, we can know that in the rest of the world our gift is valued at a certain level.
Yeah.
But here at home, for whatever reasons, Matthew, here at home, that gift is
It's not.
not valued at all.
No.
Right? And Matthew's point about, and he makes a point about the size of the community and relative, and it's a good point. I'm not disputing it, but I'm saying that even with that as a given, I think people like you should not have to not be making money from your golden pipes.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard Simone sing?
I have not.
Man, listen, you still doing the thing at Island House on Thursday? Is that still a thing?
No, I haven't been out there for a while.
Okay.
But I've been around.
After we stop this,
Yes.
I'm going to tell him the next time he can hear you sing, so he can hear you.
Yes.
But yeah, so so it's a question I have about what that has done. What has that meant in your life? That choice, because I remember for me, like people, it's only now that I've started talking about being a musician that people know that about me. And they think I'm a journalist.
Exactly.
Right? People are shocked that I have a degree in music and
Now,
not
I
a
didn't know
degree
you had
in
a degree
journalism.
in music.
Yeah, exactly. Music composition.
What?
Yeah. I was going to be a film composer.
Wow.
And I've done some film scores, but it's a long story. So,
Wow.
but I recognized before we started recording, we were talking about looking up one day. It's been 20. Well, in my case, it's been 30 years
Yeah.
building a career as a journalist,
Yes.
while in my other life, thinking about a career as a singer. It hurts me on a fundamental level that I can't express that gift here at home in the way that I would like to. Right? If I put on a recital as an operatic baritone, maybe 50 to 60 people will show up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They invited me to come sing in Germany. Right? They invited me to come sing in Venice. I was about to audition for a company in New York City.
So why didn't you?
Because I had to come home. My visa was up, and then stuff happened.
Yes.
But it's like, how do you live with that choice?
It's tough because I get fussed out by Adrian on a regular basis because he was like, you need to expand your repertoire, you need to, get out there and do this thing and take this thing seriously. You need to go to New York and immerse yourself. And you're like, I wish I could. I really wish I could. And I think this is when people get to that crossroad in life where they have to decide, am I going to jump off this cliff and just go after it and risk it all, as they say, and just go for it? Or just eke out a little existence and, so I sing at a hotel for a couple of hours and kind of, scratch the itch? Or get a little gig here or there, or become the wedding singer, the funeral singer, and it limits you, and you feel the limitation, you feel where you're just in a box, and you're not living up to your full potential of what you could be, you're not writing, you're just doing covers, it's just, you're just there. And it does not feel good.
So what do you do about it? You just suck it up and keep going, I guess?
No, I think you gotta keep trying. But then you realize, like, gosh, I'm getting older. You know what I mean? Like, do they want to see some 60-year-old prancing around on the stage?
With a voice like yours, the answer is hell yes. Are you kidding? Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's really about reimagining what it could be and really going after it. I have to say, my dear cousin is a great supporter, and he really pushes me and encourages me to sing, and that's Antonius Roberts. It's my first cousin. And he has incorporated me in some things that he's done. And he's like, you gotta record, you gotta do something.
You got to.
You got to.
So, you absolutely have to.
Yeah. So I'm happy to say that I re-recorded a single that I had about 20 years ago that I had done in BFM. I did an actual live album that was never released for various reasons. And I took the title song from that and re-recorded it. It's amazing what you can do with technology, because I used a producer in Trinidad and I recorded my vocals at Neil's studio. And he emailed him the tracks, and bada bing, bada boom, I got a single. So I have to do the artwork and all of this other stuff so that I can get that out there as a gospel tune.
Matthew, thoughts?
No, I think
I never heard any foolishness like that.
Lead from the back.
I think they have to do both.
You have to do both.
Even the middle.
You're right.
So, Matthew, thank you for the provision of the three-finger jack. It is almost as good as the story of the three-finger jack from Jamaica. That no doubt is the source of the name of the wine.
This thing has opened up. It's just the plum. Yes. Notes from the oak. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It is jammy, full bodied. Yes. Fruity. Yes. Okay, I think we better stop and say thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Sunday Scotch Society, Simone. So, kind of fun. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you both.